Does Sam Darnold deserve a spot on the 49ers roster? Do they need Sam Darnold? They got Brock Purdy, young quarterback, shown a lot of promise, although he's throwing a lot of picks, but he's won playoff games. Trey Lance, younger than Purdy, still raw, but showing a ton of improvement this offseason and really played well in camp this last week. Then you got Sam Darnold, who has started 55 games in the league. He's entering his 6th year. He's been around the block. Today, he was 1 for 7 in practice, missing guys by a lot, wide open guys. I mean, looking like the worst the worst I've ever seen him, but the fact that he could do something like that makes me feel like everything people say about him is true. He's just, I don't know, extremely inconsistent. What is the point of having Sam Darnold here?
Well, the point of having Sam Darnold here is kind of what we just talked about. Kyle, when he gets in I feel like it's almost like it just makes sense on both sides. Excuse me. Like, the same way Kyle can't let go of players is the same way it's impossible for you to get out of his doghouse, right? It's like if Kyle sees you a certain way as a player, it's just, that's it for you. Like, he's not gonna.
You know why? Real quick, because he's the guy who said he knew after 3 games that Brock Purdy was good, right? So if you're the guy who knows that someone's good after 3 games, then you must be the guy who knows someone's not good after 3 games. And we've seen three full games from Trey Lance, so he must have an opinion about him that he's not sharing. We can kind of guess what it is. And I think it's amazing that someone with his track record would still want to be the guy who's like, oh, yeah, I saw it first. Oh, yeah, all I needed was 3 games. All I needed was 12 quarters. But yeah, that's
I mean, but honestly, what is that emblematic of, Grant? What is
smartest man in the room syndrome?
Not only smallest man in the room, but I'm gonna take you on a trip, Iggy.
Take me.
What did Jeff Christensen say about Trey? How long did it take him to? How long did it take?
45 days, 90 days.
No, not 45 days.
What was it?
It took 3 days to break down Trey's throwing motion.
3 days. Yes. It was.
Remember?
That. Yeah.
And he said usually it takes me 1.
Yeah.
But with
3.
Trey, he was so messed up. By his 3rd day, I had to fix him. So I fixed him after his 3rd day. You see what I'm saying? So it's I feel like Kyle likes to let his nuts hang, and sometimes he speaks from the cuff. He speaks off the cuff. And that's kind of a window into how he talks behind closed doors. Like, I knew that he was the guy after 3 days. It's like, well, if you knew after 3 games that he was the guy, when did you know that Trey wasn't the guy?
Right.
After he got hurt?
It's funny, too, because, like, Kyle compared Sam Darnold to Steve Young, or asked him, like, why can't he be the next Steve Young? Well, when the Niners drafted Trey, remember what Jed York said?
No.
Like, we could sit Trey for a couple years behind Jimmy, kind of like what Bill did when he sat Steve Young for a couple years behind Joe.
I remember that.
He really said that. Like, it's okay. Like, we've had this history. We could do this. And so originally they were invoking, I don't know, I guess Kyle never did, but Jed sort of asked why couldn't Trey be the next Steve Young? And now you got Kyle asking why Darnold can't be the next Steve Young. It's just a really weird pivot when Trey's still on the team and he used to be that, fill that role in the, hierarchy or whatever.
Well, I mean, the truth is that the Niners are in the business of winning, right? They're in the business of being profitable and, making sure that everything runs the right way. I feel like it's not the fact that Trey ain't good. It's the fact that his developmental track doesn't match with what this organization has to do year by year by year. They don't have the time to develop Trey. They don't want to admit it. So they're just trying to prove to everybody that he's just not it. He's not the guy. But we already know he's not the guy. But it's not that he's not the guy because he's not talented. He's not the guy because he's not right for this organization. And I think a lot of Niner fans, we look at players that are pining to be a part of our organization. But what if we're just not good enough for Trey? We're not good enough. We're not good enough to develop him. We don't have the organization that can nurture a young player and make him what he is at quarterback. We don't have it here.
Yeah.
So it's not Trey, right? It's not Trey. It's
He's just a
any
project they can't.
it's any young quarterback that's going to come here. And
Yeah.
and if you're a real Brock Purdy fan, you should be concerned.
Yeah.
You should be concerned. So
Yeah. Every day he throws 2 picks in practice. You know, the
and I
injuries
wish
coming off. Yeah.
I want Brock to succeed. I want Brock to carry on what he showed. But given the track record of what this organization, just this regime has done, given the track record, Brock is going to have more put on him than taken off of him. And I just want to see how he responds. Because this organization doesn't carry quarterbacks. This organization doesn't help quarterbacks. Either you do your job or you're gone. I mean, to the chagrin of Jimmy, he was the scapegoat for a long time. And one would even say he was bred for this type of position because he came from a bigger organization and a better head coach. So he knows what it's like to deal with callousness and do your job mentality. I feel like we took advantage of that here and just felt as though that we just got lucky with the quarterback. No, Jimmy came developed in a lot of different ways as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we missed that.
By a first-class organization.
Yeah. Jimmy came developed too. I mean, Brock played over 40 some odd games. He comes from a very good upstart program, and he's got a lot of good people surrounding him. Brock came here developed. Okay.
Yeah.
So
ready.
Yeah. Brock came ready. And if you don't think that he came ready, then you need to look at the people that say that Brock should have been a 3rd round pick. You don't, you're not a 3rd round pick if you're not developed, if you're not ready.
I mean, what knocked him down the draft is not his readiness or developedness. It was his arm, straight up. And he improved it last year. It was stronger. It was good enough. Now we gotta wonder if it still is.
Right. And we want it to be, right? We want to win. But I'm just I'm not fighting this organization. I'm believing what they tell me. Right. And Trey is persona non grata. He's pushed down. He's, he's not ready to play and whatever you want to say. Right. But the truth is that we have a flaw. We can't develop young quarterbacks. And it's not a Trey Lance thing. It's a 49ers thing. It's a Kyle Shanahan thing. And everybody who listened and took their victory lap when you heard the comments about Trey, about, him instinctually not being a quarterback from the time he was in the embrace of his own mother. You see that, Dave? That's how you say it, Dave. That's how artful you say it, Dave. You see that?
Mike.
So
Mike.
That's
Dave's
how you
cool.
say it, Mike.
Dave's cool. Mike. Dave's cool.
Dave.
Dave's cool.
But,
yeah,
but that's how you say it, Mike.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't even be in the league. He's a G leaguer and all of that stuff. I heard even some of our favorite content creators can say that about a 3rd overall pick. But you can't bridge the gap as to who brought him here.
Real quick though, with Darnold, Lance was playing poorly. He was improving. He doesn't play the 3rd quarter. Darnold does. Meanwhile, Aiden O'Connell's still in for the Raiders, and I'm thinking what is 1/3 quarter gonna do for Sam Darnold? He's played a ton of football. I remember Jimmy last year. He didn't play preseason. He was just waiting around, and when it was time to play, he went in and played. He's about as experienced as Sam Darnold. He was ready to go. Trey needs to play in the preseason. Why is Sam Darnold taking reps from Trey Lance when Sam Darnold isn't good and he's not improving and he's the same dude? That doesn't make any sense to me. And it seems like it
makes sense to me. He's being developed.
Yeah. Here's what I think. With Trey, they saw him as a dual threat quarterback. They wanted to add the 11-on-11 run game to their offense. When they first got him, there was a Trey Lance package with all these different runs that he was going to be so great. And they did it in the red zone. Then he broke his ankle. And I think Kyle's is okay, well, now I can't. He's not a dual threat quarterback. Kind of like when RG3 hurt his knee.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now you're not scaring anyone with your legs anymore. So now you're just a traditional quarterback. And if I look at you that way, then damn, I mean, you're just like Sam Darnold.
You can't make.
Yeah,
you
I mean, I'll
can't
take
make
Sam
the
Darnold
throws
over
I
you.
need you to make. Yeah.
Right. I need you to be the dual threat quarterback, and you're not anymore. So if that's the case, like I'll take freaking Brandon Allen. You know, I'll take Sam Darnold. And what's crazy about that is Trey Lance on their terms with no zone read, no running package is outperforming Sam Darnold in camp. No question. Maybe he will not perform in preseason. There's 2 games left.
Yeah,
But in camp, it's been Trey.